They didn't own kingdoms, they didn't lead armies, but they shaped history with books, medicine, trade, and faith. And yet, the world kept pushing them away. From England to Spain, from Portugal to France, the Jewish people were blamed, betrayed, and expelled over 100 times. But what's almost never told is how those same nations paid a heavy price for casting them out. This is not just about expulsions. It's about ignorance dressed as piety, greed disguised as law, and a world that learned, too late, that expelling the Jews meant losing far more than just a community. In 1290, King Edward I signed what would become the first official expulsion of Jews from a European kingdom. England had allowed Jews in since the time of William the Conqueror. They weren't citizens. They weren't equals, but they were tolerated because they were needed. Jews served as moneylenders in a Christian world where lending with interest was seen as a sin. But when debts piled up and resentment grew, they became scapegoats. Rumors spread that Jews kidnapped Christian children, that they poisoned wells, that they drained wealth from the land. So the king expelled them, around 16,000 people. Their properties were seized, their loans canceled, their synagogues destroyed, and England paid a silent price. With the Jewish moneylenders gone, the economy withered, commerce slowed, trade collapsed. For centuries, England remained financially weaker than its neighbors. It would take 350 years for the crown to allow Jews back in, but by then, centuries of trust had been shattered. France expelled the Jews 5 times between the 12th and 14th centuries. Each time, the story was the same. Jews would be allowed in during times of need, times of war, famine, debt. They helped rebuild cities, establish trade routes, translate Arabic scientific texts into Latin, and then they were accused of controlling too much, and kings in need of fast cash saw a cruel solution: expel the Jews, confiscate their wealth, cancel all royal debts. In 1306, 100,000 Jews were expelled from France under King Philip IV. Many died along the way. Most lost everything. But within decades, France, again, needed skilled hands, and so the Jews were brought back. This repeated over and over, and each time the community came back smaller, more cautious, more afraid. France treated its Jewish population like a faucet, on when needed, off when not. But it was never just water they were turning on and off. It was trust. It was stability. It was the soul of a community. 1492. To the world, it's the year Columbus sailed across the ocean. But to hundreds of thousands of Jews, it was the year everything was taken. The Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, issued the Alhambra Decree. Every Jew was told, convert to Christianity, leave the kingdom, or be killed. Many converted, many more fled, into Portugal, the Ottoman Empire, North Africa. They left behind Golden Age cities they helped build. Toledo, Cordoba, Granada. They were doctors to kings, poets, philosophers, and astronomers. But all of that was erased with a single stroke of a royal pen. And what happened to Spain? At first, yes, its empire expanded, but soon after, Spain began to decline. Without its Jewish intellectuals and merchants, the economy became unstable. The minds who once translated Aristotle, mapped the stars, cured disease, were gone. Spain gained purity and lost brilliance. It never regained its old soul. Portugal followed Spain. At first, it welcomed the Jewish refugees, but in 1497, just 5 years later, it forced them to convert or leave. Tens of thousands were forcibly baptized. Others were tortured. Some fled across oceans. Austria expelled Jews in 1421 after accusing them of heresy. The accusation, owning sacred texts. Hungary followed suit in the 1300s, citing economic threat. Even as Jewish traders helped grow local towns, they were painted as parasites. One by one, the dominoes fell, and Europe lost an ancient web of knowledge, finance, scholarship, and culture. The Jews who fled didn't vanish. They flourished. where they were allowed. In the Ottoman Empire, Sultan Bayezid welcomed them with open arms. "You call Ferdinand a wise king," he said, "yet he impoverishes his country and enriches mine." Jewish doctors saved sultans. Jewish printers helped preserve ancient texts. Jewish merchants turned Istanbul into a trade hub. In Amsterdam, they brought finance, philosophy, and press freedom. And in Poland, they created thriving towns filled with Jewish thought, music, and life. Where Jews were embraced, prosperity followed. Where they were cast out, decline often crept in. The world didn't just lose people, it lost ideas, inventions, and connections. History talks about kings and decrees, but this story is about children ripped from classrooms, fathers walking for miles, clutching scrolls wrapped in cloth, mothers whispering lullabies in languages their new country wouldn't allow. It's about identity that survived even when names were stripped. It's about songs remembered after generations of silence. The Jews were pushed out, but they always found ways to endure, not because they were welcomed, but because they refused to forget who they were. They kept lighting candles, telling stories, and rebuilding. This is not just Jewish history. It is human history. It is the proof that a people can be broken again and again and still rise. The world expelled them, but it was the world that lost the most.